Is my audio fine and am I visible to you?
Yes, ma'am, your audio is fine and you're also visible.
Perfect.
Ma'am, we can start whenever you're comfortable.
Yeah, I'm comfortable. Let's start.
Ma'am, first of all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining in. I mean, it is really a proud thing for the 5 Minute Legal to host you for an interview. We've seen your posts on LinkedIn, we followed Neeti Shastra thoroughly, and right now to have you on board to answer some of our questions is really, we are overjoyed, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Preetham. That's really kind, and I'm very happy to be here. I've also followed your post. I've followed the 5 minute legal, so it's great to
Means a
be
lot, ma'am. This is definitely going up on our social media. Ma'am, to start with a very genuine and a basic question as a law student, ma'am. Ma'am, you are on the other side of the table when it comes to recruitment and when it comes to us getting jobs. Now, the first question which every law student has, even before joining the first year, is that इस कॉलेज का placement rate क्या है या फिर placement percentage क्या है? Ma'am, do you think this is the right perspective while joining a law school?
See, it's very easy to say that when you join into the field of law, you should have a noble perspective. And law is a field which is very noble in nature. You're doing justice for the society. All that is good and it sounds good to everybody. But I personally feel that you have to be practical in life as well.
True.
So when I joined law school, I was very sure that I'm not joining law school for the love of law because I was more interested in psychology. Law seemed to be the second option. I was basically pushed into it. So I knew that I'm joining law because I want to earn money. And my parents who have not been around lawyers, they also felt like, okay, law is a field which can get you a lot of money. So I ventured into this field assuming that I'll get a lot of money and earn a lot, I'll earn a good name for myself. So now while I do understand that it's not possible and it's not really practical for you to get into a law school and expect that okay, money is something that is my priority. You need to have a passion as well. That is very important. So while I'll not say that okay, money is something that should be your first priority, but it should definitely be a priority. That's the practical aspect.
Ma'am, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Ma'am, so
Yeah.
whenever we talk about placements in a law school, ma'am, often students are forced to choose between litigation and corporate. Ma'am, but as a person who like for example, you've been in the recruitment process since a long time now. You've placed a lot of people, be it in internships or in firms. Ma'am, do you think we are constrained to choose between these two streams, but because of the law school curriculum, and if we should explore how?
For sure, I agree. I feel like exposure needs to be there because when I came into law school, I also understood that okay, there are basically two fields, either corporate or litigation. I was not aware that there are other fields also where I can be a part of, like legal marketing, legal recruitment that I'm doing
Exactly.
right now. That is also a very different field, a part of law, but not really the traditional legal work that I'm doing right now. But it has been really fruitful so far. So the curriculum prepares you in a way where you focus only on the theoretical knowledge and not the practical aspect of it. It has been a criticism. Many lawyers have come out and said that Indian legal system has to be a bit better, the curriculum has to be a bit better, but that hasn't happened. So I would always suggest law students that if the law school is not doing anything for you, you need to step up and do something for yourself. Ultimately, you are the one who is getting the job.
Ma'am, taking cue from your answer itself, the word marketing. Ma'am, I have interviewed quite a few people before, and all of them mentioned one thing, that you know law, you know how to fight a case, but how will you bring the case to your desk? That is where marketing becomes very important. Ma'am, in this perspective, I'll be very honest. I'm a student who has done BA LLB, and even myself, even I was quite interested in psychology, political science, etc. But right now, when I realize the importance of marketing, I feel helpless because I do not know from where do I learn it. Ma'am, so in this regard, you being a marketing specialist, what would you suggest to law students, and how important is this skill for them?
See, honestly, I feel it's a bit easier for us. We are the new generation, the Gen Z, or whatever we are called right now. So we are more well versed with say social media, with the internet as compared to our seniors. So
Yes.
we have this advantage that we know how Instagram works, we know how Facebook works, WhatsApp works. So marketing is a bit comes a bit easier for us, but only and only if you are very comfortable in front of people, only and only if you're comfortable with putting your face out there. That
Mm-hmm.
has been the myth for now. That okay, Instagram पे reels चलेंगे,
True, very
आपका
true.
शक्ल आनी जरूरी है. I agree that is important, but ultimately if you're good at writing, I feel writing skills are important. If you're good at writing, you can create a very nice post on LinkedIn. You can get a good number of followers, and you can market yourself that way. It's very important to keep in mind the guidelines that are laid by BCI. You cannot just solicit work
Solicit work,
directly,
true.
but you can definitely share, maybe things that are related to your non-legal life. So apart from being a lawyer, there are other things you do. You have a family, you have a life, you have hobbies, you have passion. Share about that, talk about that. So that also humanizes your perception of a lawyer. Lawyers are tend to be like very cunning people
True.
who go into the
Who are
courts and
not
defend
humans.
people. Exactly. So I feel that once you put your life out there as a lawyer, you are also showing this side to other people, the public. That okay, lawyers are not just these black people in black and white
True.
outfits and just going out there and saying tariq pe tariq.
Very,
We have something more out there for us.
very true. Ma'am, would you also suggest in an academic scenario to certain law students to do diploma or a certificate course in marketing? I've not come across any person, to be very honest, who has chosen this stream, but I found you the best person to ask this question.
Honestly, you don't need a course in this.
Mhm.
You just need to be very good in observing. You need to be very good in research. So the simplest manner that I can tell you how to improve your marketing skills is I'll be focusing on LinkedIn because that is a place where I've been most active in.
Mhm.
So you just pick out any 5 lawyers that you like. You can easily search them over LinkedIn. You can see that they have a good number of followers, and you see and observe the kind of posts they are posting. You'll notice that not many would be of purely legal in nature, and the way they're writing the post, it will be very simplistic. So even somebody who is in school would be able to understand these posts. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand all these, the content that is being put out.
Mhm.
So this is something that I follow in my professional life as well. Since I do legal marketing for a lot of lawyers, I
Mhm.
focus on making sure that the content and all the work that I'm doing is focused on making it very, very simplistic in nature. So while if law students are able to emulate the same thing in their
Mhm.
own LinkedIn profile, it would be really great for them. So you don't need a course. You just need to be very good in research. You figure out what you're liking, what you vibe with, what your personality allows you to do, and you make yourself stand out. So just this chat GPT thing that has come up now.
Mhm.
Everybody, I have seen a lot of people coming out and posting on LinkedIn. While it's a good thing, but then people who are already using chat GPT will be able to tell that this content has come from AI.
Very true. Automated.
So they will, because I have used ChatGPT for my own research, I know that okay, this post has been copied exactly from AI, and that doesn't look good. Honestly, doesn't
True.
look good for your clients, doesn't good look for your colleagues.
Ma'am, we'll come to this topic of LinkedIn again later this interview because this is, I believe, one of the most dreadful topics for law students. They just freak out when they hear this word, they do not know the complexities of it, and it's a different story. Ma'am, to start with certain generic questions which I had formed. Ma'am, first coming back to the curriculum. Ma'am, to be very honest, when or when even you would have entered your 5th year, you might have thought that what is the logic of this extra year? We're already having 5 years of course and then 2 years ka LLM, 7 years of education, and then they tell when you join any firm or litigation ki sab bhul jao. It's important to unlearn and you need to relearn. Now, in this scenario, do you think that we should reduce the years which are there? And secondly, do you think we need to make certain alterations in this curriculum?
See, I am somebody who has come from the 3-year law school background.
Okay.
I did my 3-year psychology and then I did 3-year in law school.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt comfortable in spending 3 years out there in the legal field. But I did feel that there were a lot of things that we were not taught that probably 5 years students had the
Okay.
exposure to. So keeping in mind my perspective,
Mhm.
like you say, the grass is greener on the other side.
True.
I feel that the 5-year law students had a lot of time to start out and just spend their time and explore, which we did not. I as a 3-year law student did not. However, I can understand your perspective, but I do have to add that once you're directly out of your school. You
Mm-hmm.
need 1 or 2 years to just have fun, and this is what I recommend to law students as well. Don't
Okay.
just dive into internships and books and studies from the
Exactly.
first day itself. You just come out of school, have some fun, go out with friends, explore your university, explore
Mm-hmm.
the surroundings, hang out with people, make your own, group. That is also very important. So experience that college life, and then from the second or the third year onwards, you of course have to get serious ultimately. So I think 5 years are good enough for that, and they're not too much, because you also get exposure to a lot of different areas of law that not all colleges will. So I heard there was a law school who was actually offering AI and law as a additional thing that people can choose, which
Is
is
it?
something so
Mm-hmm.
new. I mean, we never have that kind of exposure. So maybe I personally feel, since I'm not studied in 5 year law school,
Mm-hmm.
that they are able to study more as compared to 3 year law school.
Ma'am, but as a recruiter, would your answer change? I mean, as a recruiter, what have you felt? That are the people who have done this BA, LLB honors course are getting more employment opportunities in comparison to the 3 year ones, or vice versa?
For sure, they
Okay.
are. Because you will not believe, there is this strict policy in many law firms that we will only hire from 5 year law students.
Okay.
Will not hire from 3 year law students. The reason is simply because 5 year law students have more time to study
Mm-hmm.
more subjects, to have even participate in more internships. So that is out there. While I wouldn't say majority do that, but there are a significant number of law firms who support the 5 year law
Law
school
course.
system and are not in favor of the 3 year school system.
Understood. Ma'am, coming to the term of internships. Ma'am, by hook or by crook, every law student just wants one internship in that one firm by any chance. And ma'am, you are the best person who's come across these students. Ma'am, why is it happening? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Being a law student right now and not getting an internship has to be the worst situation in the world. When you see Linden, again, one of the most and the best reasons why people hate it is because people feel competitive out there. I am starting a position here, I am starting a position there. Ma'am, why is this tier structure existing, and is it very important for us to get one tier 1 internship to get a tier 1 job?
It's all about the marketing and branding aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I feel. So, of course, we know that tier 1 law firms, tier 2 law firms are doing really well in the field, and they're the top
True.
players in the market. So, when you intern under them, you'll definitely have access to opportunities that you'll not get anywhere else. But honestly, the kind of resumes that I've come across, I've
Hmm.
come to realize that people who intern in tier 1 law firms are usually given research opportunities. You
Okay.
will not be given a practical experience immediately, because you are just an intern. You will not be given exposure to an important matter, and that is totally understandable.
Hmm.
However, if you tend to intern at a niche boutique law firm or under
Hmm.
a lawyer, because I have done this, I've received emails and emails of hundreds and 200 pages of documents which I've been asked to review, I've been asked to draft, I've been asked to edit, I've been asked to write petitions from the start. So
Hmm.
when I was in law school, when I was an intern, so this is what helped me draft and learn
True.
drafting and helped me improve my skills. So I always say that, okay, you can have a tier 1, tier 2 internship in your resume because that looks good. But if from a learning perspective, if you want to understand my opinion, it is that try to intern more at these smaller law firms with these lawyers, because they will offer you so much more opportunities to learn as compared to tier 1 law firms.
Ma'am, this will relieve so many law students, I cannot even tell you,
For
including me.
sure. But then there's a bias. See, Prithav, there's always going to be a bias that, okay, tier 1 here to better.
Hmm.
And I honestly I cannot agree, because we know that they get the best of opportunities, but that doesn't mean that they're not good
True.
lawyers outside of tier 1 law firms. So it is a name thing, it is a branding thing. I do agree with it, but I do not agree with the bias that, okay, yahi se अच्छे लोग आते हो और कहीं हैं.
True, ma'am, but आपका perspective carries a immense influential value क्योंकि you've known both sides of the story, being a student and then also helping people get recruited.
But you know what? I mean, I'm sure my insights have been valuable to other people. But the truth is that I, as a recruiter, have limitations.
True.
I can recommend two people. Say, I recommend two people. One who has been a part of a tier 1 law firm,
Uh-huh.
worked as an associate for 1 year. Second was worked as an associate for 1 year at a smaller law firm.
Hmm.
Now, I present these two candidates to my bosses who are partners in a law firm. Now it's ultimately up to them to select one.
True.
Now, if they carry this bias that we want somebody with a name, they'll choose the first person. However, I'm pretty sure, and this usually happens, that during the interview, if the second person is able to match up to that, and if they're able to, put that kind of an impression out there, then definitely the second person is going to be selected. Because ultimately, if you have the skills, that is something that is going to matter. I always say that it is definitely there that people are getting internships and jobs out of references. However, merit is something which is very important. आपको एक इंटरव्यू मिल सकता है रेफरेंस के थ्रू, बट इफ यू आर नॉट गुड एट व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, दे विल नॉट गिव यू मनी फॉर फ्री.
Very true. And ma'am, to end this taboo, is it wrong to use reference? बहुत बार हम ऐसे भी सुनते हैं कि अरे ये तो अपने चाचा के थ्रू लगा है, या तो ये अपनी बुआ के थ्रू लगा है, ऐसे इसको खुद के दम पे नहीं मिली है. मैम, डू दीज स्टेटमेंट्स लास्ट लॉन्ग, और ये जस्ट मन की शांति के लिए कि आपने बोल के आप खुद खुश हो गए?
See, if my father had been a judge or had been somebody senior in a tier 1 law firm, I would have loved to use this reference.
Exactly.
It would have made things easier for me anyway. So when I was in law school, I used to get jealous. You can say, I'm very honest about it. I used to get jealous.
Everyone is.
With my classmates who did not do anything and landed tier 1 opportunities in their laps. It does make you jealous. It does make you insecure. But after a certain amount of time, you do understand that these things will not last. If you are not good at what you are doing, you will not last in your job, because, like I said, people are not going to give you money for free, even if you are a relative. At some point of time, you are going to be fired if you are not doing good. So while of course it's very convenient for you to have a reference, but then things do not, just stop there. You have to do work. You have to put in that effort. So it does make it easier if you have references, but I would suggest references are there for even first generation lawyers. So if you have interned at any place, or if you have very good rapport with your teachers, try to use that connection, try to leverage that relationship, and find out if they know people. You'll be surprised of how many law school teachers know lawyers outside, and they are the ones who will be able to help you out good internship.
Very true, ma'am. Now, to end this segment of the whole internship thing, the last and I believe the most important question, how do we apply? मैम, एक बहुत जनरल सा रूल है मार्केट में कि आप 7 दिन तक फॉलोअप मेल नहीं भेज सकते हो, फिर अगले 7 दिन पे आप जाके उनको कॉल करते हो. Is all of this true? And how would you suggest कि हम कैसे अप्लाई करें?
See, I am a legal recruiter, so my work essentially is that some companies, some law firms will come to me and they'll tell me, they'll give me a mandate that we need somebody, a partner who has about 10 years of experience in this particular field. Now it's my responsibility to go into the market and search all these people who are fit the job for.
True.
So when I put out a post saying that my client requires this person, I am flooded with emails. I get hundreds and thousands of emails. Like any recruiter would, any law firm would. So even I am not able to go through all these emails. It's not humanly possible for one person to go through all these emails. So first thing, it is important to follow. Time, I wouldn't say that okay 7 days he is zaruri hai. Follow up zaruri hai, because you know why? This happened and I was talking to a mentee of mine in our career coaching call. So I told her that this is a very simple trick, but say you are the 100th person to email a recruiter, they will not even reach your email. So forget being selected, being rejected. उन्होंने आपका email खोल के ही नहीं देखा. They will only look at the first 2 pages, 3 pages, and if they find somebody who is relevant, then most probably give them a call, and if that person doesn't work out, they'll move on forward. That happens. So for your email to be seen by recruiters, by partners, by employees, you have to make sure that you're following up. So try to follow up 2-3 times. You can use different avenues. If not just email, you can hit up on their LinkedIn profile. You can put out a polite, informal message. I do not recommend calling, because I've seen people getting disturbed by these calls. I would not recommend messaging them maybe on their phone number if you have access to it, because it's a personal space, and even I would not like if somebody calls me up one day and says, okay, I want to apply for this position. Because I am also a professional. So if you hit somebody over on LinkedIn or on an email, that is totally acceptable. You can do that.
But don't you think sometimes as students we might feel scared that how do we actually message Parishkriti Atri, or how do we actually message Tanuj Kalia per se? I mean, it'll be a bit difficult because we are students. What if they feel offended? What if they don't like it? So does this barrier exist, or is it just we think of it?
For sure it does. And when I started out in law school, I did not know that there was a concept of law firms. I was so ignorant about the legal field. I had no idea law firms kya hote hain. I just
Hmm.
knew that litigation was a field that I had to pursue. And I
Okay.
thought that was the only option out there. I started, understanding more about the legal field once I, talked to more people,
Hmm.
once I had these classes, once I went out on social media. So when I was in law school, I had this option of choosing a specialization.
Hmm.
And most of the students have to. You have to choose corporate or constitutional or criminal law, whatever, as your specialization. What I did was I went on my LinkedIn profile, which I had not access to for a couple of years. I went on it. I messaged about 50 lawyers.
You
And
did not access
one
it for a
of
couple of years.
yeah, I mean, there was a fresh new profile in LinkedIn profile. I just edited it again, and then I messaged 50 lawyers randomly. Now, a couple of people who I messaged, which I later realized were founders of tier 2, tier 3 law firms. And
Okay.
at that time, I was messaging them very shamelessly, saying that I require your help. I'll be really grateful if you can help me understand which specialization to go forward with. Because for me, that was a very, very important question,
True.
because I thought that my specialization would decide my future career. So I was
True.
very, very confused. So I shamelessly messaged so many people. Not many replied, but some of them left me their phone numbers. So people were so helpful at that
Hmm.
time that they left their phone numbers. So I totally understand that it could be really scary, but I have somebody who's been really unabashed as a person. So you have to keep your insecurities and all
Very
the
true.
issues
Hmm.
at one side, and you have to decide what is more important for you. For me, it is my priority that I should get a message. It doesn't matter if the person thinks how desperate you are, because you're not somebody who's going to be in touch with them again. You're just sending out a message, and people like me or people who have some amount of followers, or who
Have a
people
reach
follow,
in the
they get a
industry.
lot of they get a lot of messages constantly. So you don't have to worry about messaging somebody like me, because we also ultimately get a lot of messages. But if you're
True.
messaging somebody senior, say a partner or a senior associate of a law firm, you just have to ensure that your message is formal, it is polite. It should not be demanding, because I get messages like, I need a job, please help me. Or it should not be like it should not be something that you're forcing upon somebody.
True.
Once what happened was, somebody asked me if I could help them get a job, and I told them that I cannot provide references, or I cannot just get you on an interview call. There are
True.
things that you have
Step
to
by
follow.
step. Hmm.
Yeah, so the person very rudely told me that you say that you're a legal recruiter, आपको मुझे job ही नहीं दिला रहे हो. So there are people out there like that. So until and unless आप उस extreme category में हो, things are good for you. You don't have to have.
Very true. A very comprehensive answer, ma'am, I must say. With a beautiful example as a cherry on the top. Ma'am, now moving to the main segment of what we've prepared for you, Neeti Shastra. Ma'am, how did you get the courage to start an entrepreneurial journey after law school? I mean, very rare, extremely rare, ma'am, extremely rare.
I agree, and I've come from a family of government servants. I've come from a family of teachers, of engineering students. So, me firstly going into the field of humanities was a surprise for everybody in
Hmm.
school. So, everybody in my family had either chosen science as a combination, or commerce. So,
Commerce.
never
Hmm.
had somebody taken arts in my family. I was the first person, and I was opposed, but only because I hated science and maths. I did
True.
not like it at all. I was very interested in history, pol science, and psychology. It was something that I think all of us are really curious
Absolutely.
about. So I just wanted to go into that field. Then I, read more about psychology. Then I did my 3 years journey into this particular field, and then I came to law school. So I feel, I'm so sorry, I just got so much into
No,
the
not an issue,
conversation, I
ma'am.
forgot about the question.
Ma'am,
What
what
was it?
led you to this entrepreneurial journey? I mean, what motivated you? Did you not feel scared, to be honest?
So because of this background of mine, I came into an open, with an open mind that okay, I now want to see what this field has to offer, and my perspective was I want to do something which will get me the most amount of money.
Hmm.
Because passion के लिए तो honestly मैं नहीं आई हूँ.
True.
I've come here for the money
Very true.
aspect of it. So I was very interested in IPR when I started out. Intellectual property really interested me. I hated constitution law, to be honest. मुझे ज़्यादा समझ नहीं आता था, मुझसे रट्टा भी नहीं लगाया जाता था. Articles and remembering all that, which is very surprising for my friends because they were like constitution ही नहीं हो रहा, तो आगे क्या lawyer बनोगे? So वही. So first year में I was very demotivated. Second year came IP, so I was like, thank God I found something which I can ultimately do. So I did a lot of internships in IPR field. But then Neeti Shastra started out in my law school with my best friend because we got in touch with other law students of other law colleges. So they told us that they are facing this discrimination being a first generation lawyer, or they're facing some discrimination coming from a non-LU law school. So we made a WhatsApp group of a lot of law students. We got in touch with each other, and my friend and I, Rahul, realized that there's this gap that is out there. Let's try to find out how we can fulfill this gap. Neeti Shastra was founded mainly because we wanted to do something different. We thought that okay, let's form an organization where we can help get into recruitments. Maybe we'll help interns, get interns hired. We can get more non-LLU law students or more first generation lawyers into this space. Let's try to encourage that. So Rahul and I, both first generation lawyers, we started messaging people on LinkedIn. That's how we started forming more connections, and that's basically how Neeti Shastra started. It was never that we thought, okay, Neeti Shastra is going to be a permanent thing.
True.
We assume that it is like a side hustle sort of a thing in your college. Ultimately, I am going to be an IP lawyer. Came my last year of law school, I thought that could this be something that could become a opportunity
Very
for me
true.
to practice this for a longer period of time. So I interned for a couple of months with a legal recruitment company, a great name in the field, and I learned there for a couple of months, and I learned a lot there. And ultimately, that helped me realize that this is something that I'm more interested in doing. I enjoyed IP, but this is my passion, helping people get hired, talking to more people, and making sure that even getting just helping them in their resume, helping them with in their interview calls, all these things I really enjoyed. And since I hired for tier 1, tier 2 law firms, I got that exposure during my internship. I had a lot more knowledge to offer now. So ultimately, because of that, I decided that okay, no, let's try and see if NS can be a long-term thing. And honestly, it was not an easy decision. Like, I remember
Absolutely.
crying at nights and wondering whether I'll be even able to earn some amount of money.
True.
Like in litigation, freshers are earning 10,000, 20,000 a month. I was wondering if we can even do that. So it was a very difficult decision, but we gave ourselves 6 months. That let's try this for 6 months. Nahi hota hai, we'll get another job. That's fine. But we have to try it out. It's our little baby. We started this.
At least give it a shot. True.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. So I feel वो courage काफी मुश्किल से आया. It was definitely not an easy decision, but we came to it, and I'm glad we did.
I am also glad you did. And just for the record, even I am the member of one of the WhatsApp groups, so you've definitely come a long way.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you.
I'm a very, I personally put this question in. What is the logic behind this name, Neeti Shastra? It's very attractive.
I know it's very different. The trend when the COVID time came, everybody had their online school. So the trend was every law student was starting their own blog. So we wanted to know whether we can also do something like this just to enhance our say we have internship मिल नहीं रही है, कुछ तो करे, वेले नहीं बैठने हैं. So we thought of let's start a blog. So everybody were using English names. Everybody had this traditional Lex लगा दिया आगे and made a blog out of it. So, I mean, no offense to them, but because most of the people who were doing that, we wanted to try out something different. And my name is Parishkriti because my mother is a Sanskrit teacher. I've been really inspired by her and really interested with this Hindi and Sanskrit languages. So we thought, why not try something in Hindi? बहुत कम नाम हैं ऐसे legal field में जो हिंदी के हैं. Even law firms do not have Hindi names. So while we were discouraged with that name because a few lawyers told us that some communities might not be able to pronounce this name. South Indian people are not very well versed with Hindi, so they might not be able to pronounce it. So they suggested us to go with the English name. But we thought that no, Neeti Shastra is a fairly common thing. People might not have heard of it before, but they do understand this term. So we
True.
went ahead with it, and because we also wanted to start a blog, so that was the name. Neeti Shastra looked good for a blog. This I understand that it's not relevant for a legal recruitment company or for people who are
It is
doing career
absolutely
jobs.
relevant. On the contrary, you're designing the strategy for recruitment, in my opinion, of what I've construed out of the name.
So because Neeti Shastra is generally an understanding that is the study of law. So it is more suitable for a blog, but ultimately we thought that we love this name, and people are also liking this name because it's unique. So that's the only reason why we decided to move
Some
forward
people
with
are
it.
liking it, trust me. Ma'am, now
That's it.
coming to the broader perspective of Neeti Shastra, ma'am, how important do you think are these opportunities in a life for law student, like publications, competitions, CV? Ma'am, I'll be very honest, and I'm sad for this thing, but मुझे CV का full form नहीं पता था. I mean, few years back, I just used to use it because everyone is using it. Eventually, I figured out in an interview when a person asked me, "Do you know the full form of it?" Ma'am, why do you think us law students are not covered well with the basics before we apply, and why are we in a hurry?
Because I think the curriculum is set out that way that you have to, score good marks. You are very focused on academics from the starting itself. Everybody is competing with each other.
True.
So we feel that understanding the theoretical knowledge is important, which is true. But once we get into the law field, or we just, expand and we do an internship, we understand that जो laws में पढ़ाया था जरूरी
Hmm.
नहीं वो real life में भी same हो.
True.
But only people who are interning and get out in the real world understand that. So that is a disadvantage for others. But I have to say this: publication, moods, all these things are important. But ultimately, purely from the perspective of recruitment, I would not suggest you to keep it as a priority. So now
Okay.
I am somebody who has not done even one mood, and I
Hmm.
have come across resumes, people who have not published a single paper or who has not participated in a single competition throughout their law school.
Hmm.
Even they have been hired. The reason behind this is the priority that any recruiter will see in your resume is on practical experience. So if you have done internships, if you have learned drafting, if you know research, that is something that is going to be prioritized over other things, say moods or research, publications, all these things. And that is unfortunately or fortunately the truth. Now people have done a lot of publications. It's called a unique a disadvantage. It's a bonus.
True.
Because somebody who's hiring you, somebody who is on the interviewer side, if they also resonate with the same thing, if they are also somebody who's done a lot of publications, they're going to like you even more as compared to other candidates. If you've done, like I've seen people who have done 50 moves.
Hmm.
I don't know how you get the time, but it's amazing. People have done so many moves across their 5 years of law school. I'm very surprised by it, but everybody questions them, so that is something that makes them stand out. So that is something that can help you become unique, pulls you apart from the crowd. But if you're not comfortable with it, then it's okay. Don't do it. Totally fine with
No,
it.
so
But
there's a hierarchy here that you focus on internships more, then you can obviously do publications, competitions, and they would be like a cherry on the cake. But
for
internships
sure,
have to be there from your perspective.
purely from a legal recruitment perspective, internships matter much more than say courses or webinars, all these things.
Ma'am, whenever you come across a particular curriculum vitae, now that I know the full form of it, or a resume, ma'am, what are those peculiar things which you notice as a recruiter? I mean, if you were to suggest a law student to, make a CV, what would be your suggestions? And one more thing, ma'am, do pages matter? Ma'am, this is a question which is, I mean, everyone is trying to dodge. अरे 4 पेज का हुआ तो क्या हो गया, मेरी क्वालिटी मुझे बतानी है, 1 पेज का करना पड़ेगा, इधर से कैलिबरी 11 कर देता हूँ, भले ही वो दिख नहीं रहा है. मैम, आई मीन, हाउ वुड यू आंसर ऑल ऑफ दिस?
See, I would say pages matter नहीं करते हैं इतने, but you have to be smart about the way that you're going forward. So, अगर आपने 15 webinars attend करे and you add all of that in your CV and you make it 4 pages, that is not going to put out a good impression in front of the recruiter. But if you have, say, done 10 internships during your law school, and that is something that makes your CV 4 pages, that's never going to be a negative thing for you. That's only going to show the recruiter that you have put in more extra efforts as compared to other people. You have put yourself out there, you have done more internships, and you have learned, of course, learned from all of them. So for any CV, there are certain basic things that have to be there. You have to put out your contact details. You have to put out your education qualifications. You have to put your practical experiences out there. But there are most importantly, I would say कि क्या चीजें नहीं रखनी है. That is, I would suggest that do not put out a professional summary because you are somebody who's just starting out, and when you put a professional summary, it is very generic in nature. You say that I'm a hardworking person, I'm a team player, I'm a very professional. All these things, these are very generic in nature. No recruiter reads these things. So avoid that. Avoid references. Avoid parents' details. Avoid एकदम personal details. वो सब add करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So just follow any template that you find online. But what is more important than the template is the content. So when I take CV calls with my mentees, what I basically tell them is that you have to make sure that your content is something that is making you stand out from other people. So I'll give you a very simple example.
Yes, ma'am.
If in your CV you have mentioned that drafted a legal notice, that is the first sentence that you have written. But if I was you, I would have written drafted a trademark infringement notice for one of the firm's client who is a startup dealing in retail sector. So now essentially
More
the meaning is the
comprehensive.
same, yeah, but it is more comprehensive. You have added more keywords in there. You have shown that you don't only have the drafting knowledge, but you also have the theoretical knowledge. When I say trademark infringement notice, I'm showing the IP knowledge that I have.
True.
So that is important. Content important है, template तो same ही होता है यार. Education डालना है, internship डालना है, publications, it's all the same. But content is something that will make you stand out.
हम अभी एडिट करना पड़ेगा जाके.
करो and send it to me. I'll help you, in any way that I
I'll
can.
be more than happy. Ma'am, then when you answered the question of the number of pages or the format, मैम एक बेसिक सा सवाल एक जो बहुत एक वो हो जाता है काफ़ी कि डू वी ऐड आर पिक्चर. अब कभी किसी को कोई टेम्पलेट में लगता है कि पिक्चर ज़रूरी है, फिर वो किसी से पूछते हैं, वो बोलते हैं हाँ ज़रूरी है, बट देन फिर आपको लगता है कि नहीं पिक्चर से क्या फ़र्क पड़ेगा, या डेट ऑफ बर्थ से, या फिर 10th और 12th के मार्क्स से. मैम तो ये सब चीज़ें इनसे जेन्युइनली कुछ फ़र्क पड़ता है क्योंकि हमें ऐसा लगता है कि हमारी क्वालिटीज़ थोड़ी बता रही है ये चीज़ें. बट फ्रॉम योर पर्सपेक्टिव what do you see?
So, there are many NLUs and many other law schools as well who have this template set in place where they put their college logo on the right side of the
Exactly.
CV. So that is also there and they highlight that, which I feel is good because only the colleges who have good names or branded colleges, they put out their logo like that. So it definitely puts out a good impression that way. But if you ask my perspective from a legal recruitment perspective, फोटो डाल दोगे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, अगर लोगो डाल दोगे इतना कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. अल्टीमेटली व्हाट मैटर्स इज योर एक्सपीरियंस. Because reading a CV is a very subjective thing. So there are certain newish partners who would probably like to see a very colorful sort of a CV, if not colorful, a bit more interesting CV. But the traditional method has been a black and white, very, very formal, a bit boring CV in nature. So when I help my mentees draft CVs, and I tell them that make a black and white CV because colorful बहुत लोगों को पसंद नहीं आते. So go in the majority, what majority people are thinking. What majority people want is do not have a picture in place, do not have a law school's logo in place. बट अगर आप वो ऐड भी कर दोगे ना, ऐसा नहीं होगा कि
आप रिजेक्ट नहीं होंगे उसकी वजह से.
Yeah, it's not going to be like, oh, this person is very beautiful, let's hire them, or this person is ugly, let's not hire them. ऐसा कुछ होने नहीं वाला. It is something that you should not add, but अगर कर भी दिया तो ऐसे कोई बड़ी issue नहीं.
Understood. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, when we finally answered this main question, let's move on to the last segment, the LinkedIn.
Sure.
Ma'am, I'm sorry I've already taken 37 minutes of your time. Is it fine if we continue?
No, I'm really enjoying the conversation and I'm enjoying talking to you.
Ma'am, it means a lot. Ma'am, when we come to the topic of LinkedIn, ma'am, the first thing is कि मैम हमें इंस्टाग्राम की आदत है, उसके पहले हमें फेसबुक की आदत थी, स्नैपचैट, और बोलने को ये भी सोशल मीडिया है, लेकिन फिर दिस इज़ वेरी डिफरेंट. यू कैन नॉट गो एंड शेयर अ जोक, और यू कैन नॉट गो एंड शेयर अ मीम और कमेंट समथिंग रैंडम. मैम, इज इट क्विंट एसेंशियल फॉर लॉ स्टूडेंट्स टू बी ऑन लिंक्डइन? अगर आप नहीं हो तो आर यू मिसिंग आउट ऑन समथिंग?
I would say you're definitely missing out on a lot of opportunities. ये opportunities सिर्फ internship की नहीं है, it's also networking opportunities. It's also opportunities to learn from other people. So I am connected with so many senior people in this field, and the kind of knowledge that they are sharing on LinkedIn is just unparalleled. It's amazing. It's not just legal knowledge that they are sharing, that this is how you draft a notice, this is how you draft a petition, but even knowledge and soft skills that they're sharing, that this is how you handle a client conversation. This is how you have to present yourself as a lawyer to get a very positive impression of yourself. So just that kind of knowledge, which can only come from experience. Somebody like me who is new to the field, I am learning from other people. So I do not have the same experience as somebody who has been in the recruitment field for 15 years. But what maximum can I do is I can learn from other people. I can learn from senior people. So if you're not there on social media, firstly you will not understand that there are people around you who might be doing better than you, and there are people around you who you have to compete with. Legal field बहुत ज़्यादा competitive है. Tier 1, Tier 2 law firm में सब जानना चाहते हैं, but कितनी ही space होती है वहाँ पे. So you have to make sure that you are doing very good. So I feel that if you are sitting in a classroom, you might be the top person there, but that's not enough. You have to ensure that बाकी लोग जो भी हैं आप उनसे भी compete कर पा रहे हो. So social media gives you that perspective. It shows you what other people are doing, and not just in a negative way, but in a positive way as well. Because it has positively motivated me at times, not always, but at times, to see how well other people are doing. So it makes me think that if they can, why can I not?
Not true.
Of course, negative effect भी होता है, insecurity, jealousy, वो सब आती है. That's totally fine. But if you can learn something positive, ऐसा कुछ भी उससे better नहीं है. Second thing I feel is internship opportunities, job opportunities. The more people you are able to reach out to, the better your branding is there on LinkedIn. People will definitely reach out to you, and this happened to me in my second year of law school. Since I decided that IPR is something I want to do, I used to post about IPR quite actively. And since I was very shameless, I had decided to add everybody from IPR in my LinkedIn. So I was not aware, but after 6 months of being connected with a partner of a tier 1 law firm, he himself reached out to me. He told me that I have an internship position vacant. Would you be willing to come to Bangalore and intern at a. So I have to understand that it's not, so it doesn't happen that the person did not have a vacancy and just created it for me. ऐसा नहीं था. It maybe somebody had left at the last moment and he wanted to fill that vacancy. But the important part was that he remembered me. He did not want to go through the entire process of finding resumes, then finding somebody. But because he knew me through LinkedIn, he reached out to me and he saw me posting about IPR. Somebody who is posting about a specific area of law, they're only doing it because they're interested in it and they have the knowledge about it. तो उन्होंने मुझे मैसेज किया, and I think that is the best thing that has happened to me on LinkedIn so far. I was so honored to do that, and I accepted that role. But it was amazing, and this has happened to many people. You might think that okay, ऐसा रियल में होता है क्या? ऐसा रियल में होता है, बहुत लोगों के साथ.
मैं तो पहली बार सुन रहा हूँ, and trust me, when this clip goes out, your DMs will be flooded.
I mean, you will be very surprised because it's just the way that you are handling everything. ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि मैंने आज उनको मैसेज किया, कल उन्होंने बोला हाँ आज मैं इंटर्नशिप कर. उन्होंने इसलिए किया because 6 months से we were connected. I did not interact with him, he did not interact with me. But because I was posting on LinkedIn, he remembered me as somebody who posted about IPR. The girl with the long name who posts about IPR. Maybe that's the way he remembers me because I have a name which is difficult to pronounce. So that's just the way it is. But it has been very interesting for me and for other. I have noticed this happening for other people as well. They've received job opportunities, internship opportunities through LinkedIn. They might not be as lucky as me who received a message सामने से. They've definitely received responses from their own LinkedIn. That is something that you're missing out on if you're not on LinkedIn. And the third thing is definitely networking. So not everything on LinkedIn that you do is for a purpose. It's not like आपको कुछ gain ही करना है उससे. It can be learning, it could be networking only. So if you get to just connect with senior people, I think the knowledge that you gain from them is amazing.
Ma'am, please excuse the noise which is coming from the construction.
That's okay.
मैम एक डर जो होता है लिंक्डइन का, मैम डिड यू हैव इट ऑल्सो, एंड व्हाई इज इट देयर दैट पीपल आर हेजिटेंट टू गो देयर, मतलब दे आर हेजिटेंट टू पुट अप देयर इंटर्नशिप थिंकिंग कि मेरी तो इतनी जानी मानी फर्म नहीं है. कभी कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि आपकी फर्म का ही पेज लिंक्डइन पे नहीं होता है. So in this scenario, if a law student was to start with LinkedIn, what would your suggestion be कि आप क्यों इस चीज़ से नहीं डरो, and अगर आप डर भी रहे हो तो how can you overcome it?
So when I started out on LinkedIn, fortunately उस टाइम पे इतने लोग नहीं थे जितने
Hmm.
इस टाइम पे हैं. So I feel that in the 3-4 years that I've been here, definitely अब बहुत ज़्यादा लोग आ चुके हैं LinkedIn पे, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It is ultimately a good thing only. So I was very insecure when I saw how well other people were
True.
doing, and I did not have a single internship. So I've seen people from first year having 2-3 internships in their resume, and I was like, यार अभी तो मैं सेकंड ईयर में आ गई एंड आई ओनली हैव 1 year left, so I've not done anything. So that makes you question, your entire existence, and would you be able to get a job after law school?
True.
That happens with everybody. But ultimately, it's the way that you look at things, I feel. Because I've been doing legal marketing for lawyers,
Hmm.
people are hesitant to put out their perspective on social media because they might get trolled, or something might be a bit more controversial, or it might put a negative perception out there. And that is totally understandable. Maybe of a popular topic, you might not be in support of it. Maybe you have a different view.
View.
For
True.
example, maybe let's look at the Adi Purush
Hmm.
controversy.
Hmm.
Most of the people seem to think that okay, Adi Purush has not done justice to the Hindu
True.
culture, and I totally agree with it.
True.
But maybe you're somebody who has an opposing view. Maybe you feel that ठीक है कैसे भी बनाई है, but it is helping other people understand what the story was entirely about. So
True.
if you put that out there, definitely you will get a lot of criticism.
Ma'am,
That is
bashed
what
right
people
and left.
yeah, that is what people are scared of, honestly. Whether putting out an opinion will make other people say that, okay, this person is stupid, he doesn't know anything. So,
Hmm.
वो डर है, basically, of getting bashed, of being trolled and all that. But, it's very easy to be safe, honestly, because आप जो post कर रहे हो ना, if you keep it to the legal aspects of it, the legal facts of it, I think you can be safe. In fact, if you talk about certain personal aspects of your life, that is also something that is going to help you get traction, and that is also going to help you get the relatability factor out there. So I had a client of mine, we put out a post for her where we talked about how she has been a female lawyer in the litigation field for about 10 years and so, and what was the impression of her around people who have been males for
Hmm. Hmm.
for so long, and the industry is dominated by male litigation lawyers.
True.
So what has been the journey, what has been the experience? Now so many women related with her, and not just in the legal field. There were business women, entrepreneurs, mothers in on LinkedIn who actually resonated with the kind of information she is putting out there. So I feel that is something that you have to just be sure of, that ठीक है अगर कोई कुछ बोल रहा है, they're just there for the sake of it. I mean, if there's somebody who's hiding
Shouldn't
behind
be,
a
you
screen and
shouldn't be
just
discouraged.
yeah, if there are people hiding behind the screen and talking shit about you, I think अभी तक तो इतनी thick skin हम लोगों में तो especially आई चुकी है. We know,
True.
we are the social media generation. We know कि people troll each other for the smallest of things.
True.
So I feel कि उस चीज़ों को ignore करना चाहिए. अगर आपको block करना है आप block कर दो. Comment delete करने delete कर दो. It's your profile. You can do whatever the hell you want.
मैम एक सवाल होता है कनेक्शन बिल्डिंग का. हमने प्रोफाइल बना ली, वी एडिटेड द बायो, वी एडेड आवर एक्सपीरियंसेस, एवरीथिंग. मैम बट टू सेंड अ करेक्शन रिक्वेस्ट इज अगेन अ क्वेश्चन. किसको भेजे, किसको नहीं भेजे. ये तो बहुत बड़े एडवोकेट है, इनको भेजेंगे तो अजीब तो नहीं हो जाएगा. मैम इन दिस सिनेरियो हाउ शुड वन ग्रो देयर कनेक्शन ऑन लिंक्डइन?
See, my advice to you, everybody who is listening to this, and to you, Pratap, as well, is always be shameless. That's the best approach that I can give you. Do not come with a baggage कि यार इनको कर दिया तो क्या होगा, या इसको कर दिया तो क्या होगा. You don't know that person. That person doesn't know you. So so many people lose out on opportunities just because they are scared to do something.
True.
This has happened to me. This has happened to so many other people.
Absolutely
The
agree.
best way to go forward is just be shameless. आपको जिसको approach करना है आप करो. तो आपके साथ क्या होगा? They're not going to call your law school and say that suspend this person. He messaged me on LinkedIn. That's
True.
not going to happen.
True.
So other side they'll ignore you. As simple as that. And of course that is going to affect you, but that's fine. Maybe the best thing that can happen out of it is maybe they'll respond to your message. Maybe you can get connected to them over a call. That happens. So one approach I'll give you. Everybody who is messaging somebody on LinkedIn
Yes,
will
ma'am.
say the same thing out there. They'll say that I'm looking for an internship, can you help me?
Hmm.
Or I'd like to get connected to you because I like your post. All that is fine. But if you want to stand out, try to find out something which you feel is not related to the legal field, but something that the other person enjoys and you also enjoy. So the way that I got a number from a senior person in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
field was because I noticed that the person had once or twice mentioned in the post that they were really interested in psychology. So I sent them a message saying that I have a couple of psychology
Hmm.
books with me, and I've done 3 years in psychology field. If they like to, just get these books from me, or if they just like to have a
Hmm.
conversation with me, or this, I would be honored to do that. So I got a number because of this conversation. So law के बारे में तो सब बात कर रहे हैं, but if you can pick out something from their profile, something that is mutual between you, common between you, and it could be something as simple as the same, you coming from the same law school.
Hmm.
Alumni जो होते हैं ना, even they have this perspective that okay, we'll be happy to help out our juniors. So if you are from the same law school, chances are that your alumni would be much more willing to help you as a stranger as compared to anybody else.
True. Ma'am, lastly, the post section. Now, sometimes, ma'am, just a minute, I'll just be back in a minute.
Okay.
No, I'm really, really very sorry. Actually, my mom had come, so I had to open the door.
No, no, totally fine. I've been there.
Ma'am, so when we talk about posting stuff on LinkedIn, ma'am, is there a way on in which you do it, or you just do it by the what your heart says or what you want to post? For example, even if you're a law student but you're interested in a particular book which is of fiction, you just write a summary of that book, a review of that book. And secondly, ma'am, can we tag people in our posts? For example, I'm writing something on the topic of recruitment, that my college is not actively helping us or aiding us in doing that, which is true. We're not in doing that. Ma'am, can I tag you? Is it fine if I tag people like you who have huge follower base, who have a reach and a say in the industry?
So, talking about the kind of content that you can firstly put out. So now, because I am into legal marketing also, in law firm management also,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a very systematic approach for this. But for
Hmm.
a law student, it's different. I feel you can, of course, talk about the legal part of the things that you're interested in, the practice
Hmm.
areas that you
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
interested in, and build that brand for yourself. Where one can say that okay, Prithav is out there. He is talking about say mergers and acquisitions. He
Hmm.
has a lot of knowledge around it.
Hmm.
You can build that brand. But it's totally okay to talk about personal things as well. Maybe you talk about one day how you have a pet dog with you
Hmm.
and how much you love being around it and how much that dog, helps you maintain
True.
positivity around a
Emotional support.
stressful
Hmm.
situation. Yeah. So that is something also that you can put out, and that is the same for lawyers too. So you don't have to worry about the scientific things, the technicalities around it.
True.
Don't
True.
think that आज क्या post करूँ कल क्या post करूँ. The simple thing that I follow is that I try to put out posts which are of value to others.
Hmm.
Sometimes the purpose is that. Sometimes is that I also want to promote my services. I want to promote myself.
Hmm.
For a law student, ऐसा कुछ सर्विसेज नहीं होती है जो वो प्रमोट कर
करना
सकते हैं,
सकते
बट
हैं. True.
मे बी वंस इन अ मंथ यू कैन पुट आउट अ पोस्ट वेयर यू से दैट आई एम लुकिंग फॉर एन इंटर्नशिप, आई विल बी हैप्पी टू कनेक्ट विद एनी पर्सन हु कैन ऑफर मी वन. एक वो पोस्ट आप कर सकते हो, एंड लाइक आई सेड यू हैव टू बी शेमलेस. सो देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम इन प्रमोटिंग योरसेल्फ, बिकॉज इफ यू डोंट प्रमोट योरसेल्फ, हु एल्स विल? So you put out that post, but try to build your brand first as somebody who is interested in one particular field. Niche बहुत important है pick करना. If you talk about everything, एक दिन
Hmm.
साइबर लॉ कर लिया, एक दिन IPR कर लिया, एक दिन आपने M&A कर
Constitution
लिया,
कर
एक दिन
लिया.
टैक्स कर
Hmm.
लिया, हाँ तो उससे थोड़ा confusion create हो जाता है. When you pick out a niche, it's clear. Your name gets associated with that particular thing. It makes you stand out basically.
Ma'am,
That is something.
I mean, the most number of times the word you've used in this interview is brand and branding, ma'am, which I draws my attention to the fact that, ma'am, personal branding sounds very appealing to anyone. One should always make a brand. That is how you stand out, even for a law student. Ma'am, you've branded yourself, you've branded Neeti Shastra, everything. Ma'am, how would you suggest a law student to make a personal brand out of himself or herself?
See, I feel personal branding now, it's not a necessity for everybody,
Hmm.
honestly. There has to be a purpose around it. So, of
Okay.
course, you can do it for the sake of it, but
Hmm.
if I have to be practical, I'll say that lawyers इसलिए करते हैं ताकि उनको clients मिले.
Hmm.
Ultimately, the aim is to earn money.
Hmm.
For law students, the aim is to get an internship or a job. So you
True.
need to have a purpose around it. And that is why personal branding thing happens. There are entrepreneurs, there are founders who are branding themselves in a certain way so that they can maintain a public perception of themselves.
Hmm.
वो भी एक purpose हो गया उनका.
True.
So personal branding just means the way that you want other people to perceive you. So as a law student, how do you want other people to perceive you? If you just keep say if you post regularly कि मेरा आज internship यहाँ लगी, I'm happy to say that
Hmm.
but I've secured an internship, or if you have published an article आपने वो post किया. Now ये ऐसी post होती है ना LinkedIn पे काफी सारी है. So definitely ऐसा लगता है that you are an overachiever, but then आप ना attention grab नहीं कर सकते honestly. But if you're somebody जो जिनको maybe एक भी internship नहीं है, but you're constantly talking about one particular thing, which could be like I give you an example of M&A. अगर आप constantly M&A के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, you get associated with that word. So your personal brand becomes Pritham, a future M&A lawyer, somebody who is interested in that
Hmm.
particular field. So that, and the LinkedIn algorithm works that way, that the more that you search about a particular thing, the more that you talk about a particular thing, the more these kind of things start coming in your
Field.
feed.
Hmm.
तो आपको connections भी ऐसे दिखेंगे, आपको job internship opportunities या publication opportunities उसी field में दिखेंगे. So everything around you starts getting involved about M&A. So it's just the way that you have to stand out, because post तो बहुत सारे लोग कर रहे हैं, आपकी post how to make it count. That is also important. So I think personal branding दो ही चीज है. It can get of course it can confusing, पर जरूरी नहीं है कि आप पहली पोस्ट आप करो उस पे 0 likes आए and you get demotivated, because ये ना number game में आना बहुत आसान है. I've been there. Everybody who
And I am there to be
that's
honest right now.
yeah, everybody who wants to get make a name for themselves ना उनको ये लगता है कि ठीक है हमारे पास likes आने चाहिए, comments आने चाहिए. But the posts that have worked for me best are the posts that have the least engagement with it. Why?
Hmm.
Because they are purely technical in nature. So if I want to promote my legal marketing services, I'll write a post about how well my posts have been. Probably I'll put a screenshot that okay, these are the analytics that I've provided for other clients. So अगर मैं अपनी success story डाल रही हूँ, people are not interested in that. However, people will message me personally because of that particular thing. Because they don't want other people to know that I'm contacting a recruitment company or a marketing agency. They don't want other people to know that we're hiring ghostwriters. But उनसे personally आप बात कर सकते हो because you have a social proof out there. So the same thing. Law students ask me a lot of times that I want to earn money alongside law school. What should I do? Why don't you put out posts where you say that I intend to start out with content writing, provide my content writing services for you. So maybe the first 5 projects or the first 2 projects I'll do for free. If you like my work, I'll be happy to provide you with more work, but it will be paid at the end. So once you put out that post, maybe आपको 0 likes मिले, but I can assure you आपके पास messages आ जाएंगे उसके बाद.
So
So
engagement
engagement, don't
always.
worry about engagement.
True.
Yeah.
Ma'am, this interview has definitely been a knowledge repository for everyone who would listen to it. Pretty unique and pretty niche. I mean, every law student has these questions, but they never get a person who can answer it with authority, and you have been that. Ma'am, the best way to end it would be your message to law students via the 5-minute legal.
So I think my message for everybody who is listening in would be that be ashamed, be just be unashamed, be very very real in whatever you do. Just be honest with the kind of work that you want to put out, and don't think about what others are doing. Try to focus on yourself. It's a competitive field for sure, but people who are doing good are getting the recognition.
True.
So I wish you all the best, and do not be afraid of asking for help or asking for support from people around you.
Ma'am, thank you so much. This means a lot. Just one request that whenever this goes on air, we would be really happy if you could share it from your handle too, because it would give
For
us
sure, I'll be happy to. And you know what? I'll love to give you a shout out across our WhatsApp groups. So I'll be happy to. There are
This is
62 groups out there.
thank you. This means a lot, ma'am. Genuinely. I mean, just from a, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, I've not monetized this whole setup like you have, and I do not have this big thing. Ma'am, but we've started. I mean, ma'am, if you have just 10 minutes to spare, I just wanted some
For
advice.
sure. For sure.